All right, I'm back here with Vanessa Krammer talking about her writing and her stuff this time. We're still at Katie's Books. Again, check them out. Really cool independent bookstore. I swear they either rearrange the shelves or add new shelves every single time I'm in here. So check out what they have. They try to provide a variety of stuff and even have a specific shelf for independent local authors and all that stuff. So they're really fun if you're in the Lee Summit area of Missouri. Check them out. Or even if you're on the Kansas side, it's not that far of a drive to check them out. All right, but here with Vanessa again. So watching you on Instagram and everything, and not in a creepy way, like it looked like you're a discovery writer, but are you actually an outliner or somewhere in between?
I'm both.
Okay.
I do outline, but I have learned that as I'm writing, I'm not so much God with these characters.
Okay.
Creating this world, like seeing what they're doing, knowing what they're going to do. There is a lot of times that I'll start writing and something happens and I am completely sideblinded by it. Did not have it planned, didn't see it coming. I've killed characters without any intention of them being planned to be killed, and I will be absolutely devastated by it because I didn't see it coming. It wasn't planned, but it fit the story and it had a meaning, and I kind of have that moment of like, I'm not as in control of these characters as I think that I am.
Seems to be a running theme.
Yes, and it's kind of crazy when you do realize that, because you can plan and you can outline and you can have like, I know this is going to happen, I know this is going to happen, I know this is going to happen. But those are just like 4 things, and you have to fill an entire book. So like those 4 things do happen, but in between those 4 things and before and after those 4 things, what else is happening?
Yeah.
So like your outline is really good to have, but then you're also like, okay, between point A and point B, what's happening?
Yeah.
And a lot of times I have no idea until I'm sitting at my computer and I'm like, oh, okay, and then this is going to happen, and then that's how they get to here. That makes sense. So yeah, I am a planner. I'm a very like, I have to have a list. I have to have an itinerary. Going on vacation with me is probably not super fun because I am like researching like all the restaurants in the area. We're going to eat here. We're going to eat here. We're going to eat here. And that's all good and fine. But then like in between those meals, what are we doing? So then that also comes into play of the discovery. Like, oh, well, that place looks cool. Let's just walk over there and see what that's about. So as much as I want to be like, I know exactly what's going to happen, I don't.
Well, because the first casualty of war is battle plans.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, because that's one thing I'm trying to learn. Because like when I wrote a bunch of stories like as a kid growing up, like I said in college, I wrote a novel, but like I didn't know you could plan what you were going to write before you write it. I thought you just made it up as when Jack Sparrow the story, and so like when I actually started trying to take it, considering taking it seriously, I'm like, wait a minute, people actually plan this ahead of time. So I'm trying to talk with people like, okay, where are you in the spectrum of that? Because I'm trying to see what other people are doing, build my ideas on it. So like, do you keep like a character Bible and like various different ways of keeping track of the specifics?
I really should.
Okay.
Again, with Great Divide originally being like a standalone, I finished the book and I was like, all right, and I never have to worry about these characters or who they are or what they're doing ever again. And then I started writing Great Desolation and I was like, crap, I have to remember like all the stuff that I've said about these characters, and you know, timeline is very important, continuity is very important. Yes. And so I don't have character bios, and I don't have like kind of like an abridged history of like what's happened already, but I I recommend that, especially if you're going to write a series, you
Yes.
probably should.
Yeah.
With Temporarily Forever, I like wrote the entire book, and I had people alpha reading it for me, and my husband was reading through it, and he was like, hey, when does the shooting take place? And I gave him the date, and he was like, yeah, that doesn't work because you have the guy moving in like a month after the shooting, and that like doesn't really make sense. Like, I know like she like it does happen kind of quickly, and that's like kind of some of the point to it, that it's like quick and unexpected and all that stuff. And he was like, but your timeline is like super messed up, and at one point you have them at Thanksgiving, but they're talking about something that happened at Christmas. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
And so like I definitely recommend that when you're writing a book, keeping track of character bios, even stuff down to what color eyes they have, because the first time I published this, the love interest I said at one point had green eyes, and then at one point I said he had blue eyes. And someone brought that up, and I was like, oh, well, my dad has eyes like that, where like some days they look more green and sometimes they look more blue. And that was me just BSing them because they said that, and on the spot I was like, oh, I messed up. Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, you can kind of like worm your way out of stuff sometimes, but it's better to maybe have a list of, this is what this character is like, this is what they look like, this is where they're from, just so it's consistent.
Yeah. And that's where watching what's the YouTube channel? Abby Emmons has helped out some stuff like that, because she's heavy like big outliner stuff like that. So watching some of her, she has some frameworks of like, okay, what's the character's inner conflict? What's this? And so I've started, like, even when I was going back through that novel I wrote, I'm like, oh, this is too big of a story not to keep track of everything. And then after like going through it for like this, after going through it the third time, I was like, wait a minute, I mentioned a name here. It's the only time that's mentioned, but he's supposed to be this guy here. Let me change that.
Yeah.
So I realized quickly, going through, I'm like, I've got to start something on my, like, going through it the first time, because I'm going to mess stuff up if I don't. And I've been curious myself, after I publish this novel and maybe write a sequel to it, I have like a big, like, epic trilogy in mind. But I kind of have the idea, I'm trying to like heavily outline that with all the characters. I have the idea of like, I don't know, proxying like magic cards, like the magic art that inspires them on the back actually has the character bio. But that's going to cost way too much money and time to just do that and then But yeah. So also, like, you're not a full-time author, so I'm just curious, like, how do you make time for your writing?
I don't know how I do it. I mean that genuinely, because I constantly have people who learn more about me, and I run an in-home daycare Monday through Friday.
Oh, okay.
I have 2 kids of my own. I have a husband, so I have like a household that I help manage. Thank God I have a husband who is very, very supportive of my passion for writing. He does not like it when people call it a hobby for me, which I appreciate, but like, he's like, it's not a hobby. Like, this is what you were made to do. Like, this is your thing. And then the daycare kind of just makes sure we have a roof over our head.
Yeah.
Which I really, really appreciate that about him. And we take turns every other night getting the boys to bed. And so it's definitely like a teamwork. The days that the nights that he takes the boys to bed, I'll sneak into our room and start writing as much as I can. During the day, when all 3 of my babies, when it does happen, when all 3 of them are sleeping, I'll get some writing in. But, like I said, I'm also on the board of a nonprofit, so I'm constantly helping stuff out with them. Like, I'm overseeing Queer Ink in a couple weeks and planning all of that with the library and making sure everything's ready for that. And I I don't know. I don't know how it happens. I mean, I wrote Temporarily Forever in 2 months.
Huh. Okay.
And I kind of went on autopilot and have no recollection of how I managed to do that.
Yeah.
But it happened. But with the great books, they do take longer because there is more research. There is more. You have to make sure continuity issues don't happen. And I like time jump a lot. So like I have to know about things in this certain time period in Japan. Like, were these things around back then? Or I was writing the first Dumas chapter for Great Devotion, and I mentioned money somehow in ancient Egypt, where like the time that he's from. And I was like, oh, money didn't exist. Like I was thinking like
really?
Coins.
Yeah.
At least.
They were trade, physical trade thing. Yeah. Okay.
Which I'm glad I looked that up, because at the time it was like he like had debt and coins. Like I'm mentioning coins and gambling and stuff like that. And then I was like, I better double check that. And so I spent like a whole couple days just like researching like, oh, money didn't exist when he was a human. So now I got to like refigure that out.
Yeah.
Like, what was he doing then if money wasn't involved? Because I've like already written this chapter. So that is honestly, again, I love researching. I love learning stuff. I don't retain a whole lot. I try to, but like the stuff that I do retain is just like random stuff. I've like recently gotten really into like war documentaries.
Okay.
My husband jokes that I'm becoming everybody's dad. Because I just watched a World War II documentary because I have a demon in this book who was a Nazi.
Okay.
So like that kind of stuff, I have to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So that's also time consuming because I have to. You don't necessarily have to do this much research, but then you'll get readers who are like, well, actually,
yeah,
this person didn't exist then, or these cars weren't made until this year. And to avoid that, you do have to spend a little more time not writing and researching.
Yeah.
So that whole time balance of, do I want to be writing right now? Do I want to be researching for my writing right now? And then the whole marketing part of being an author is its own thing. Yes. I know you mentioned Instagram. I'm not a fan of social media. You would never be able to tell from my social media, but I can't stand it. I can't stand how like mind-sucking it is. I can't stand how toxic it is. But I do know in 2025, it is necessary if you want to be an author. And Book Talk has done great things to get more people reading, but it's a
double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a lot of people into reading bad smut.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so only
like,
that.
Yeah, it's really hard to find that balance of like what I have like this free time, what do I want to be doing? Because normally on Sundays, I do like a bunch of content backlogging.
Okay.
So a lot of the stuff that I post throughout the week, I'm making on the weekend because I don't have time during the week to be making silly TikTok videos. But I do know, I mean, I have readers who have found me through Instagram or through TikTok, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But at the same time, I just wish that like I didn't have to.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. That's one thing I've kind of struggled with and had the idea with. And I liked that the Ink and Inspiration, that one lady that talked about it, but like legitimately trying to come up with 3 good posts a day to just put on one branch of social media, it's kind of a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like I get her thing, I get it, but it's like, and you can do some good with it, but it's like the time. Yeah. And the mind power and everything. Yeah.
And I do recycle a lot of the stuff that I use. So like I'll make a TikTok video and then I'll post it to Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Mm-hmm. I never thought I was going to have a YouTube channel because like who wants to watch an author do author stuff on YouTube? But my 12-year-old is like, oh, YouTubers are like the best celebrities and they make so much money and I want to be a YouTuber when I grow up. And I'm like, have a backup plan.
Yes.
But I'll post the exact same video to all 4 things, and it'll get like 200 views on TikTok, 60 views on Instagram, 3,000 views on YouTube, and like 150 on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So like the algorithm and like it always changing, and you never know what people are able to see or what people want to see, and always trying to figure that out. And certain times of the day that are more popular for viewing, certain days of the week that are more popular for viewing.
Yes.
It's just a lot.
It is.
And so I've gotten to the point where I try not to stress out about it, and I just kind of have fun with it, because the stuff on my YouTube channel that gets more engagement is usually not my book stuff.
Really?
And it's very disheartening, because I literally have author in my tag. So like, that's what I think people want to see. But I'm doing this like really dumb Stranger Things video, and it's gotten over 75,000 views. And I'm like, can that many people look at my book?
Yeah, I think a lot, although the good thing about that is I think a lot more people buy into the author more so than their work.
Yes.
So like if they like the person, they're more likely to support the work.
That's what I'm banking on. I hope that they like my silly personality enough that they're like, oh, okay, I like that. Maybe I'll check out her work.
Yeah, I mean, it'll work, because that, like, my wife found you through Instagram and stuff like that, and then, oh yeah, well, like to check out her stuff. So it does work. But like, it's the effort of putting it into there, and that kind of bleeds into the second one of like your philosophy of sales is interesting, because like I've gotten like all your ebooks for free.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's your philosophy with all that stuff? Where are you trying to go with your sales? And yeah, how are you trying to make this a living?
Right now, I know it's not possible. I want to eventually just be a writer, but I care more about getting my stories in the hands of readers. I will never forget you messaging me about Kim.
Oh yeah.
And I don't want to go into detail if you don't, but like, getting those interactions matter to me more than making money.
Yeah.
Like I have a job. I wish I wasn't spending every day changing poopy diapers and listening to babies screaming.
Yeah.
But I also have a passion for helping people. So like, my job is something that is necessary. Childcare is bonkers, and I feel fulfilled that I can do that for people and be home when my kids are home. Like I see my kids a lot more now that I have a job at home. And so like, I don't feel like I'm really missing out on anything at the moment, because I am still getting to write. Like I said, like my husband makes sure, he's unofficially kind of taken on a manager role for me. Like he'll tell me like, I don't think that event is going to be worth your time. Or I do think that event is something to maybe check out. And I've had events where I didn't sell a single book, and it sucks, because you know, you work 5 days a week just to get these 2 very short days off, and spending one of those trying to sell your books to people and it not happening. So you're just sitting there for hours, not making any money, not making any connections. My sons and my husband are off doing something super fun that I'm missing out on.
Yeah.
Or I'm not like resting, which rest is something that your body needs.
Yes.
I don't know it, but apparently it's something that you need. So like, those times are disheartening, but at every single event that I have had, whether I have made 40 sales or 0 sales, something has come out of those events. I've either talked to another author that I've never met before, or I've talked to the place that hosted the event and have sold my books to them to keep in store, or I've met someone who's not an author or a bookstore owner, and they're like, hey, I've been thinking about hosting an author event. What do you think? Every time I've had something, I've taken something away from it. And I know we need money to survive, but like, not to get preachy,
Uh-huh.
money is a man-made thing. Like, we only need money because we have put ourselves in a situation that we think we need money. Because we need money to buy food. We need money to have clean water, all this stuff. But like, if you have everything you need, everything after that doesn't matter. You don't need a whole bunch of clothes. Like, you do need clothes, otherwise you'll get arrested in public. But like, you don't need like a ridiculous amount of clothes.
Yeah.
You don't need to spend $50 on a t-shirt when you can just spend $10 on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Unless it has like a good anime thing, or it's really worth it. If it's a
it
really
has
made
to
shirt,
be really, really worth
yes.
it.
But you don't need 50 of them.
Yes, and I take a lot of that from my grandpa, who was more of my father figure. Like, if you see something that you want to buy, sit on it for a week. And at the end of the week, if you still really think that you need to spend your money on it, then buy it. But I have everything I need right now. So when I do free ebook promotions, which I've done several, they're always successful. The last one I was a part of, I sold 1,300. Well, didn't sell. I gave away 1,300 between these two books.
Okay.
So about like 650-ish. This one sold a little bit more than this one.
Being the first, yeah.
But around 650-ish of both of those. I cannot believe that. That's 1,300 people. Well, 650 people. They're going to be reading these books.
Yeah.
So then my hope for that is they actually do read it. They like it.
Yeah.
And they review it. I think reviews have so much more value than money, because when people read reviews of indie authors, then it makes them more likely to get like circulated and more people reading them. Now, when I read stuff, unless it is an indie author, I don't leave a review. I'll rate it.
Okay.
But Colleen Hoover isn't going to rely on my reviews. Like, she is not dependent on reviews. Stephen King is not dependent on reviews. All these people that are traditionally published, that are popular authors, they don't need that stuff. But because I'm an indie author, and because this isn't my full-time job, I am so dependent on my books getting reviewed and people seeing those. And I just recently got 2-star ratings for Great Divide, which like for a day was like super devastating. But then I went and looked at what these people read usually, and it's like Hallmark romance books or like Christian fiction.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, why on earth did you read this book then?
Yeah.
I would rather someone not read my book and me not get a sale from it than them read it and it not be their thing and them not like it.
Yeah.
I'm never going to try and sell my books to someone who I know isn't going to like them just to make money.
Oh, yeah.
I want them to like my books. So yeah, with the whole sales thing, like, obviously I want to make money. Obviously I want to have enough income from my writing that can be my job. But I'm just not in a place right now that that's possible. And so I don't worry about it too much.
Yeah.
But I know like a lot of authors do ARC readers. So they do give their books out for free, but it's before it's published and copyrighted and protected. So then there's like a lot of risk of it getting pirated or copied or whatever. And so I basically do that same thing. I just wait until it's like published and copyrighted and everybody knows like it's my thing. And then I'll give it away for free in the hopes that at the very, very least you'll review it.
Yeah.
And the ratings are fine, but I think it's more important that if you don't like it and you do give it a lower rating, you leave a review. Yeah. If you give it 5 stars and everybody's like, oh, this person loved this book, you don't need to know why. But if someone gives it a 2-star, I would like to see like, oh, why did they have a problem with it? And if they say like, I didn't like that she made Christianity fiction and like had multiple religious mythologies happening because I'm a devout Christian. Someone who reads that review might be like, oh, a different take on religion. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So I think leaving reviews for things you don't like are actually more valuable for things that you do like.
Yeah. Well, I even Joanna Penn's, she's one of the most successful independent authors I know of. She mentioned that one of her books on writing is like the negative reviews sometimes can sell your books more than positive reviews because she writes kind of like Indiana Jones-ish kind of thriller stuff. Still has some religious themes, and they're like going after like the crystal skull and various artifacts like that. But I think she said she had one review earlier on where the person gave her a 1-star review where it was like, all this is just action and everybody dying, and she's like, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that's the genre.
Yeah. Well, and even I thought it was funny because you were talking about the history buff people pointing out inaccuracies with your books. That's kind of what I've done with Isley Rose too, because I latched onto her book because like that was a hyperfixation of it as a teenager for me with Spartan stuff. So like, oh, there's Spartan fiction, I'll latch onto that. And reading through Glitched, I was like, the Spartans were this. And I'm like, how are you justifying this? How can you build this in? And she was actually like, you know what? Yeah. And so she kind of wrote that stuff in. But when I posted my actual video review for it, I was just honest with it. I'm like, the amount of sexual tension in this book is obnoxious. Like to me, like it's just, I was like, chapter 2, I'm like, can they just bang already? Because but it doesn't happen until chapter like 18 of 20. Like it's like, but so like,
what's hilarious is I like sexual tension in love stories more than just constant banging.
I can see that.
And so that's, with Temporarily Forever, I had a lot of people be like, there is way too much buildup. Like they should have been doing it way before they did. I'm like, but no.
Yeah, some people like the slow burn. But what was funny with that, I was a little hesitant posting. I'm like, how is she going to take that? But like, she like copied that on her own media and said, yep, that's what it is. You want to buy it? I'm like, okay. So it can work both ways.
Yeah.
Like for the people who that matters to them one way or another, like you see it outright. But yeah, and that's I do like that philosophy because like, while money is like the value of money is philosophically up in the air, like it's a pragmatic need. We need it. But at the same time, like what I've determined with my books, I'll try getting them into libraries. I will do free stuff because a lot of the authors that I love to read in stuff like Brian Jakes with the Redwall series and Christopher Paolini stuff, we found their works in the library where and now like I own almost everything that those people write. And so like, yeah, it'll be a short-term loss, but like in the long run, it'll make you more money.
I have a lot of author friends who won't put their books in the library because they're like, that's people reading my book for free. And I grew up in a low-income family, and the library was my place. Like I was that kid who checked out the maximum amount of books that you could and spent all summer. I'm asthmatic and I'm very clumsy and not graceful at all. So I was not the kid like playing outside with their friends. I was inside reading books all summer. And the library is what gave me access to all those books. And in return, I had a great imagination and I loved storytelling, and it developed my love for writing. Because I think you need to be both a good writer and a good reader to be a good writer. I'm very, very much an advocate of if you want to write, you have to read.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, just the whole thought of like, I don't give my books out for free. I need to make money off of them. I don't personally, and I'm not saying that they're wrong and I'm right, but like, that's not my philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
I want everyone to have access to my books. So I will do free ebook promotions. And I've even actually had someone, they bought one of my books on ebook. And then the next day I started my ebook promotion and they were like, I just bought this and I didn't realize you were going to have this for free. And so I returned it and I got it for free. Don't be mad at me. And that does suck because, if you return an ebook, the royalties get taken away from the author. Just a heads up. It's fine if you don't like a book, but just know that if you return it, I have to pay that back. So please don't do that. But I did tell her, like, from now on, if you want one of my books, just message me. And I do this thing. So just a heads up. Amazon will give you the option of having stuff delivered at a later date, the no rush rewards thing. So you get digital credits for it. What I do then is if someone wants one of my free books and I have digital credits, I will buy my own ebook with those digital credits. And it ends up being free and I get royalties from it.
Huh, okay.
So that is a workaround of that. And then also, like, I try really hard now, if I'm going to have a free ebook promotion, I start, like...
You tell people about it on the social medias.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't just, like, drop it on them, like, hey, by the way, today it's free. I tell them, like, leading up to it as much as I can, just so they're not like, I just bought that book and now it's free. And
yeah.
I mean... Sorry, you're supporting
your timing is bad. That's on you.
Yeah. But I do try to be understanding. I don't want it to turn into, because I also know, like, with certain genres being super popular right now, there are people who do it as a side hustle thing. And I get it. When you know something sells, it's smart to jump on that. But at the same time, like, I hope that people write because they like writing
what they want to write.
And not just like, oh, well, ACOTAR is popular, so I'm going to write a knockoff ACOTAR story, because that's what everybody reads. And that's another thing I don't understand is, like, again, being in a lot of readers groups, I'm a mood reader, so, like, my reading list is all over the place. I will read biographies, I will read horror, I will read, I just read, Matt Rife's book, and he's a comedian, and I was very intrigued by it because he's not even 30 years old and has this, like, life story biography out, and I'm like, you haven't been around long enough to have a biography. What is this about? So it piqued my interest, and I listened to it, and it was actually really good. But my reading list is all over the place. So when I'm on these book groups and they're like, I read this book and this book, I need all the books that are exactly this book. And I'm like,
try something different.
Read something. And I get it, like, if that's your genre, but, like, reading the exact same story over and over, I just don't get it.
No, I don't either. Like, and, like, to me, like, I jokingly say I'm a helpless unromantic. Like, that's not my thing. So, like, trying to write, if I were to jump on the romantasy train and try to do that, I probably would screw it up the whole way through. But, like, I've heard in a various different podcasts or what I've listened to, like, what makes a story timeless is it has to have elements of, I think the book Anatomy of the Genre talks about this. Every timeless book has elements of humor, what's it called? Not desperation, but something bad is going to happen, suspense, and romance. Like, if a book has all those three, and it has a higher probability of being timeless. But yeah, also at the same time, like, I'm not going to sit down and, like, write something that's completely against my personality. But also, you kind of talked about this. I might bring the religious background, clip that from there to here a little bit too.
So I grew up Catholic. Very, very strict upbringing. There were so many rules on what made you a good Christian, what made you a good Catholic. Any mess up, minor or major, had to go to confession every week. And as a kid, it scared me. Like, I enjoyed going to church.
Mother fell back.
I went to church every Saturday with my grandparents because they helped raise me. They were basically a second set of parents for me. I went to a Catholic private school. So religion was a huge part of my everyday life. I remember when we moved to Independence and I started going to public school, a lot of the stuff that the kids were talking about, like science wise,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even get to learn in elementary school
Oh, yeah.
because a lot of that stuff kind of towed the line of going into like, well, if that exists, then religion, and that kind of interferes with that. And I remember one day, the priest that was over that church came to our classroom and he was like, any questions you have about Catholicism, I have the day to just sit here and answer any questions you have. And my question was, where do dinosaurs fit, like in the Bible background? I don't remember how exactly I worded it as a kid, but it was basically like, where are the dinosaurs like in the Bible? And he was like very offended by the fact that I brought up dinosaurs. And
As what, like a 10-year-old?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I was probably in fourth grade, maybe.
Okay.
So younger than that.
Yeah.
Even. So I mean, we obviously at the time didn't have much of a grasp on religion as it was, and I don't know if he thought that I was like just trying to troll him, asking him that, but he was basically like, well, dinosaurs aren't in the Bible. And I was like, but they obviously exist because we find their bones and stuff, but like, when are they like are there dinosaurs around like when Jesus is around? And I was legit like just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And he got so mad at me for asking about dinosaurs. But that school, I had a nun for my first grade teacher, and she was very, very mean. She told my mom that I need to switch from being left-handed to right-handed.
Oh, yeah. Superstitions. Yeah.
Yes, because left-handed people were less likely to get jobs and more likely to commit suicide. And that freaked my mom out. So anytime, I won't mention names, but anytime my nun teacher caught me doing schoolwork with my left hand, she would hit me on the back of the hand with her ruler.
Yeah.
Very stereotypical, I know, but like she would hit me on the back of the hand, throw my work in the trash, and tell me to start over with my right hand.
Okay.
So a lot of my upbringing with religion was just guilt and pain. And when my parents got divorced, my mom wasn't allowed to take communion at Mass anymore.
Because it's a cardinal sin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though my dad abused my mom and cheated on her multiple times, it felt like she was being punished.
For being the victim.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have such a hard time. And it's crazy because like Catholicism is actually really cool. It's very old religion, yes. Very ritualistic.
Mm-hmm.
And that part of it I kind of think is cool, but I have such a hard time grasping just all the rules. And as I got older, so I stopped being Catholic, and in high school I dated this boy who was really, really into church, and he wanted to go to college to become a pastor. But he was like, but my church is really cool, and I'm like, I do music for the church, and I'm like part of the youth group and lead stuff with that. So like youth group is really cool and it's cool. And I was like, church is never cool. So I'll try it out, I guess. So youth group was fun. They tried to like, be like hip with the kids.
Yeah.
And I liked the effort that was made there. And then went to church camp after my senior year of high school, because it was like one of the last chances I'd get to hang out with my boyfriend before he went off to college.
Mm-hmm.
So we're there a few days. I don't think we were there a whole week, but it felt like a really long time because one of the nights, so you picked like 3 classes.
Okay.
I picked acting, creative writing, and photography. I did not get to go to the photography class because I managed to lock myself in the bathroom and couldn't get out because it was at a college campus, and the way it worked was there's like a bathroom between the two dorms, and if someone locked it from the other side, you couldn't open it from the inside, and I managed to do that to myself. So I was locked in the bathroom for like 4 hours.
Oh no.
And I guess because I didn't show up to class, no one knew where I was. The adults thought that I was just like skipping class and like goofing off and stuff.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm like hysterical, like locked in this bathroom. And what's funny is I actually ended up, because you took a notebook and a pen with you to classes and stuff to take notes. So I actually ended up writing like Christian poetry while I was locked in that bathroom, and I actually I shared it that night, and everybody thought that was kind of cool that I was like forced in like absolute solitude because we already like couldn't have our cell phones.
Yes.
And there was like no TV or anything like that, but I had nothing in that bathroom for just hours on end, and it went from hysterics and freaking out and like, oh no, I'm going to be in so much trouble and this is boring. I don't know what I'm going to do until someone comes back.
Uh-huh.
And then I like wrote like 5 poems while I was like stuck in that bathroom. So, but what I was going to bring up about church camp is they taught us that worship doesn't necessarily have to be like praying or singing hymns or going to church. The best way to worship is using your God-given talents because that's honoring him. So like through acting or singing or writing, you're like worshiping because you're like thanking God through your skills. And I just thought that was like super cool, and I still live by that to this day. I think that is like the best way to honor God. Like if you have a talent and you just like sit on your butt and do nothing with it, I think that's wasting something that God has given you. So I was Baptist for a minute, and then didn't want to be anything, and then I kind of like into my 20s was like, well, I don't want to just be nothing because I do believe in God and I do believe in Jesus. And so we found this non-denomination church, and it was like the most laid back church. And like our lead pastor had tattoos and was kind of like a hipster pastor. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And like they had like a full band that did worship songs, but like the worship songs were like kind of like not heavy, but like
more rock style.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I was like, this is so cool. And the reason why I started going there was my oldest son wanted to try out church, and I hadn't been to church in years at that point. And I was like, okay, well, this one seems ironically less preachy than what I'm used to.
Yes.
So we started going to that church, and then my husband started going too, which he didn't grow up going to church at all. And he doesn't like saying that he's agnostic. He thinks that there's something, but he doesn't know what. I'm like, that's agnostic.
That's the definition of agnostic.
Yeah. I know. But he's very much like, he was a punk kid in high school. So
he
like
just doesn't want a religious title.
Yes. Okay. He doesn't like labels.
That's fair.
Yeah, that is what agnostic is.
Yes.
But he doesn't like it. So we went to that church for a while, and we all really enjoyed it, and it gave us like a sense of community, and the people there, it seemed very diverse and very accepting. And I just remember a conversation I had with the lead pastor at one point, and one of the things we brought up was the fact that I don't want to say this without it sounding bad, but like there's a possibility that my youngest son may be gay because when he was a little bit younger, he was like very into rainbows and unicorns. He's very eccentric. Now I just think he's just a goofy kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to say that means that he's gay or whatever. Like he's right now only 9. So
yeah. like stuff doesn't have to be gendered that clinically.
Correct.
Yeah.
But the way I was raised.
Yeah.
And then of course my family was like, "You're making him gay," and I'm like, "I'm not making him."
He's just being a boy.
Yes, he's just figuring stuff out, what he likes, what he doesn't like. But I talked to our lead pastor about it, and I was like, I worry though, being at church, how he's going to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And the lead pastor is basically like, we accept everyone here. We don't turn anyone away for any reason, like whether they believe in God or not, whether they're gay or straight, everybody's welcome here. And I was like, awesome, love that answer. And he's like, but, huge but, the Bible does say that it's a sin, so I accept him, but heaven may not.
Okay.
And I immediately just shut out that church.
Yeah, that's a very rough way of saying that. It's not entirely accurate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a big believer in, like, the Bible has been cut and pasted and translated and changed to benefit certain groups over others and weaponized. I really honestly don't see homosexuality as a sin, especially if genuine consensual love is involved, because God is love. Like the Bible says over and over, like, above all things, love, love thy neighbor. Like, there's all these things that talk about love. And I think homosexuality gets confused with sexual deviance too much.
Okay.
And that's just my personal beliefs. But I've struggled so much with, like, what makes a person good, like a good person, and what makes them a good Christian, because those two,
it's not always delivered as a saying.
Yes. And I think in my books I have, like, several examples, like with Sekhmet and her background. She's killed by priests, and in their mind they're doing the work of the gods, because they're from ancient Egypt, so they believe in multiple gods, and they think that they're doing what is religiously right. But because they hurt people and are not good people, they don't go to heaven. They wind up in hell. And so that reflects a lot on what I believe. I think just because you go to church every weekend, or you read your Bible every day, or you pray every night, that's not your ticket. Being a good person and treating people well and treating people with love and understanding, that is what makes you a follower of Jesus.
Yeah. How much of, like, writing through this stuff is you trying to figure out in your own mind your own spirituality and all of that stuff?
I mean, it's something that I'm almost constantly thinking about. I'm constantly thinking about what's going to happen when I'm not here anymore. And I think a lot of people struggle with their own mortality. And I do think that in my books, along with my kids, a part of me does get to live on after I die. And I know, like, I'm never going to become like a Stephen King or a Mark Twain or an Emily Dickinson. Like, my name is not going to go down in history as one of the best authors of all time. I can say this because it's getting published this week. I've been keeping on the down low. I did get Best Local Author for Kansas City Magazine.
Nice.
So, I mean, like, yeah, people in the community do know me, and I'm not going to say that, like, I don't ever have the chance of being a known author, but, like, I know it's not going to be, like, big.
International.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. Again, that's not why I write. I write because I love writing, and I hope that people read my stories and enjoy them. Like, I love that your wife has, like, blaze through all
Yeah.
my books because I'm like, I want like a can't put it down story. I don't want someone to be like, yeah, I started it a couple months ago and I'm like on chapter 3 and I'm just really struggling through it. I've never had that experience with any of my readers. I've had a couple people who, like, one of my friends lost her dog and she got to the part with the little girl and the dog in Great Desolation. She's like, I can't read your book for right now. And I'm like, that's totally fine. That's fine if you need to take a break. Because I do have heavy themes in my books, but like I love when I get feedback of people saying like, I've never read a book like this before, or I could not stop reading this. I was up till 2:00 in the morning reading this book and I never stay up late. That kind of stuff makes me feel like when I'm not here anymore, these will still be here. And they won't know who Vanessa Krammer is, but they'll know that they liked these stories.
Yes.
And I think that's really cool. And where I'm at right now, like I said, I am a Christian. I know people who will read this, or these especially, and they've either said like it's blasphemous because they're Christian and don't think that I am. And I've actually had like atheist friends who read it and they're like, I honestly like didn't like it because it was too religious for me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
To each their own. I totally get it. Like, not everything is going to be for everyone, and it's totally fine. But like, I am Christian. I have recently discovered that like I don't think I believe in hell anymore.
Okay.
Just because I feel like what people experience here has to be the worst it gets. Again, I'm very in the mindset that like God is a love. Like he's all about like loving us no matter where we're at. He will meet us where we're at. If we're lost, he will come to us. I really think he hates seeing people struggle and suffer and doesn't want it to be like that. I'm not going to get political at all on this, but like I think he sees stuff that happens in the world and he's like, that is not what I meant when I said this, or that is not what I meant when the Bible tells you to do this, or like seeing how cruel. And again, I think a lot of that is social media and everybody just having access to everything all the time and feeling like they need to like say something, but then they waste their time saying something and it's mean. I don't get that. And I try my absolute hardest to just ignore that side of humanity. But like, again, with the way things are, it's just everywhere all the time. It's so negative.
Yeah.
And so I just try to just say like, I'm doing my best to be a good person. I'm doing my best to be there for other people when I can. And I hope it's enough, but like, I'm not in charge of that.
Yeah.
Whatever does happen when I die, again, I hope I did my best.
Listening through some of your explanation and stuff, one thing, this is the Catholicism sticking in your head, but like, sin doesn't have to equal hell.
And it's hard. It is so ingrained. And every time I say something and someone's like, well, I didn't grow up believing that, but I was so, what's the term, indoctrinated?
Indoctrinated, yeah.
Yeah, as a child.
Yeah,
so.
And that's where Catholicism is strong, is because they, like, okay, anybody's going to try to show you like, hey, this has worked for me, this is going to work for you. Like, you see keto trends, very like intermittent fasting, like, hey, this worked for me, this will work for you. That's fairly common. But like, where like you'll see Catholicism and other places go to too far to the extreme is like, they say this is the way, and this is the way, this is the way. But like, what's interesting is when you actually step back and look at things objectively, you're like, maybe, but not quite. Or like, well, where they get wrong is like, when you look in the Bible, like, yes, like, God is a perfect being. He's never messed up. He's never said anything wrong, even though you had him apologizing here. He's perfect. And so he can't be around imperfect beings because that causes imperfection. But like that's why Jesus came is to pay the penalty for our sins so that we can be perfect morally standing with him. It's not anything we do outside of accepting the gift. But like where Catholicism is messed up is they've made the various degrees of sins and kinds of sins, and having the idea of mortal sins that not all priests agree on which are and aren't mortal sins. And then you have the cardinal sins. And but when you actually read the Bible, granted, take out the Apocrypha, in my opinion, you don't see those degrees of sins. Mm-hmm. And outside of that one that's intentionally left very vague. So like that's one thing I've noticed is like you gave the example of your son. It's like, oh, like I know some people who say that homosexuality is an unforgivable sin, not but an unforgivable sin. It's like, no, like there's one passage that might give that implication, but like the rest of it says the otherwise. Mm-hmm. So like, I would just if you're willing to go down those, look more into it, like just focus more on like reading the Bible and see what the Bible says about it, and then like there's, like your son did point out, there's so much on YouTube. There's so many people, like if you go like, hey, what about this? Gotquestions.com is a really good place to go to where like, a stupid example, what does the Bible say about toenail fungus? They'll give a short answer about that with some Bible verses. That won't be on there, but you get the point.
Yeah.
So and like there's a lot of YouTube channels, like the Bible Thinker is pretty good. He's fairly reasonable on stuff. Not right on everything, but he does a lot of research and stuff. The Church Split podcast, there's a lot of, if you look up apologetics on YouTube, you'll find various different channels on like, what does the Bible say about this? And you'll find when you get viewpoints from various different areas of the theological spectrum, you can get a more holistic view of it than just killing yourself sends you to hell. So yeah, I'd encourage you to keep looking into that. And
I'm always just trying to see like, well, what do people say? Because I can't remember what exactly I was talking about, but my mom was like, well, you're not turning Jewish, are you? And just like that was her response to it. And I'm like, I'm not. However, why is that automatically like a negative thing?
Yeah.
Because I don't like the idea of Christians knowing for a fact that anything other than Christian is completely wrong, or anybody or Muslims thinking that anything other than that is wrong. Because like, I get it in your faith, that is what is correct. And I have my own beliefs that I think is correct. And I don't want to sit here and say like, just because that person is Jewish, or just because that person is Muslim, or just because that person is Hindu, like they have it all completely wrong. I respect that they have faith in something, mm-hmm. like that there's something that they know is bigger than they are, mm-hmm. that they're putting their faith in. And again, if they're using that as the backboard to being a good person, then I'm not going to try and change their mind. I personally don't think it's correct because of my beliefs, but I'm not going to sit here and say like, you're bad because you're wrong.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's where even the Bible in various ways points out like, different isn't wrong.
Yes.
And like say I disagree with Catholicism and Islam, but like I don't treat the Catholics or the Muslim any different than I would like a fellow Christian. Mm-hmm. Like people are people and they deserve to be treated like it regardless, unless they're pedophiles. And right. Like,
as long as you're not hurting yourself or someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As long as you're not a threat to life.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, like you should be treated as a fellow person regardless of whatever else is attached to you. and that's a big part. That's a big part of the first the information book that I'm trying to write. Is it's called Individual Christianity, where like you're responsible for your own beliefs and stuff like that. Don't you can't rely on a pastor or somebody else to just do all the thinking for you. And yeah, and I just thought I just had that question in my mind about your books. Reading through these two, it was like, okay, how much of this is just her trying to make sense of her own stuff? Because it was clear like Catholic structure in the afterlife, Catholic, and even I think he had them go to a Catholic service because they were speaking Latin or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So like I saw a lot of Catholicism in there, but you brought in so much other stuff. I'm like, how much like some like secular thinking into it, and some of the other mythologies. And I'm like, how much of this is her trying to piece together her stuff too?
Yeah, I'm constantly doing it still. When we were going to our non-denominational church, I remember like I think it was like raining like really really hard, and I was like, I don't really want to go out in this because the weather's like really bad and we're under a tornado watch, and I just think that we should stay home. And my husband's never been like, no, we are definitely not going to church, or yes, we are definitely going to church, obviously. But so I just remember like that whole day being like, I feel so bad that we didn't go to church. And he's like, that's that Catholic guilt. Like, stop feeling guilty about God. God is supposed to make you feel good. And which is crazy for someone who doesn't know if they for sure believe in God. But he's absolutely right. Like I don't think that religion should ever make you feel bad. It should make you feel good. And like Christianity is not even the oldest religion. There's like such a long history of civilizations having something that more or less is their base of knowing right from wrong. And so there's got to be like something to that. Like, I don't think that religion has been around since civilization has been around for it to just not be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's something there. I'm learning constantly, and I'm unlearning a lot still.
Oh yeah.
And
So yeah, that I like trying to talk to other authors who have published or successful actually published stuff, just get their ideas. And I like the idea of like, okay, Bible passage, multitude of counselors, their safety, like get varying opinions from varying different people so that you can develop what you like. And if you like her works, prick her mind on some of this stuff. So hopefully this has helped you all. And her links to everything is going to be in the description below. And like I always say, God loves you and wants to spend forever with you.